he just wants to shut people down, so I'm going to shut him down.
You're trolling. That's trolling.
Yeah, and if I was in a mods, if I had mods and he showed up, I would kick him instantly.
I mean, he has quite a few objections to that. He's like, oh well, look, I host my own hangouts now, and see, I didn't kick anybody. I'm not rude to anybody. And
if
I
you
don't
have to announce that at the beginning of your hangout, you're probably a shitty person to begin with.
No, I mean, I was in there today. Hold on, Steve. I was in there today, and I thought, whatever. There's no hangouts going on. I just want to sit and just have a chat with somebody. And I didn't really want to be pre-subbed. And he actually confronted me. He's like, "So, Hannah, what's the basis of rationality for atheists?" And I thought, really? I just wanted to say hi, but you want to pre-sub me like right now? He's like, "Yeah, that's what the hangout's about." I'm like, right off the bat, goddamn, you don't need, can I get a hello? Can I get something?
Reach
Jesus.
around, anything?
Yeah,
Just
like
tell
at
him,
least
like,
fucking
chocolate
tickle
cake.
me or something.
Say chocolate cake. That's all it is. Chocolate cake. Oh well. Oh, how would he disprove that? Because you can only account for yourself. So maybe you do use chocolate cake. I don't fucking know. Personally, I use pecan pie, but that's just my preference.
He didn't like my left shoe argument. I kind of like my left shoe.
Oh, your
You're
mic is
breaking
fucking up.
Ah, shit.
Hey guys, what's up?
Nothing much. By the way, I wanted to ask. So, did Jack and Realistic Nihilist tell you what to say?
Here's this troll guy. Don't let this guy in, Hannah. He's a known troll.
And
let me give some people mods while I'm at it.
Okay.
Oh, you guys didn't hear the off-air hangout we had on that, did we? Did you guys? With Josh?
No.
Oh, it's not a big secret. It's not like it's like a off-air that needs to be very confidential, but yeah, Brojo was sitting there giving justifications to Matt why he had sniped Jack and Josh out of the hangout.
No, he did.
Yeah, and he's like, well, they're just trolls, and Matt's just like, well, if they're just trolls, and I'm like, look, hey, Matt, by the way, Josh is Realistic Nihilist. You've had multiple conversations with him. He's been in the room many, many times. Who is Brojo to arbitrarily decide who can and come, go into the hangout? He's not a moderator. He literally ejects people because he doesn't think that they should be having a discussion with people because he labels them trolls because they are anybody that can refute Darwin's deity. Right? And I was standing up for Jack and Josh big time, man. Big time.
Oh no, Van the Man got a screenshot of Brojo sniping folks. So Brojo can eat a dick. I'll make an announcement on my page, but I'm not inviting Brojo to shit. Like if he's in there, I'm re-blocking his ass because he's already said that. Well, I'm not going to do that stuff. That was in the past.
Yeah, that's what Antonio was arguing with me today. He's like, "Oh, sorry, continue. Never mind. I'll afterwards."
No, I was done. I got to.
Hey, Hannah, what was your question from earlier?
Oh, I'll get to that in a moment. But DD was actually the reason why he was mentioning. Well, you see, Liz, I didn't eject you from the hangout. I wasn't rude to you. Yada yada yada. He's like, I'm very frustrated that these people keep sniping the hangouts, right? And I said, well, that's a nature of the beast. You have an open link. They're trolls and small children who think it's funny to snipe hangouts, like how Brojo did. I mean, to be honest, Brojo's the one who started it by introducing sniping to the community. And he said, well, can you mention anybody because he was exclusively saying that atheists were doing it. He's saying, can you mention anybody on the theist side who stalks and snipes? I said, stalking I'll argue with, but Brojo, Arcane, those are the first two I can think of off the top of my head. And then Antonio immediately interjects saying,
Dawkins does too.
Yeah.
And Brojo's first one was on my channel.
Well, that's the thing. Antonio said, no, Brojo doesn't do it anymore. And now I'm hearing contrary. Apparently he does. And he's continuing to do it.
Okay, here's the thing, Hannah. And I think we all need to kind of come to a consensus on this. So tell me what you think. When I hear sniping, because it is not a bug, it is an actual feature of Google Hangouts for whatever stupid reason. I don't know who thought of it. They're an idiot. But it's supposed to be working as intended. To remove somebody that way, do we call that sniping, which it is, or do we actually use it for the more narrow thing when you snipe a hangout and you remove the moderator such that the hangout is effectively over? It goes
I think
here. Well, hold on a second. Like
sniping the hangout.
Be able to hold on. When you're inside of a hangout with a bunch of people, and it gets heated to the point that somebody in the room blocks somebody else inside of the room, that's working as intended. you can't hear that person, but whatever. But anybody that's watching it sees the confusion from this. Everybody else in the Hangout has two people over talking each other and all this other stuff. So even though it's a working feature to whatever, usually if somebody blocks somebody within the Hangout, they'll eject that person, or they'll try to
I completely agree.
Yeah.
That's up.
So
isn't that up to the moderator to do that? Isn't that up to the room to say, look, at you blocked somebody, you're out, or you ejected somebody, you're out.
Yeah, exactly. So to the room moderator. So if somebody comes in who's not the moderator, and they do that, and you are moderating the room, and you're like, oh, hold on a second, why are you doing that? And you should approach them the same way. Like if you're all like, yeah, well, he doesn't like him, so he sniped him, well, whatever. Well, fuck, okay, fine. Whenever I'm in a Hangout and I don't like somebody, I'm going to snipe them. And they're going to be like, well, why did you do that? Yeah, I don't like them.
But it's okay, but I get that, but it's kind of like, okay, if you block somebody else, if you block somebody in another person's Hangout, let's like right now, let's say Stalker, you got all pissy. You said, Floyd, I can't stand you. I don't want to talk to you. And you block him, thereby making the Hangout go to shit. Hannah, as a good moderator, should be like, you know what? You're out of here because you just effectively fucked up the Hangout, right? But does that transfer over to when Floyd has it in the Hangout? Does he go, oh, hey, look, Sokka blocked me on this other Hangout. Should we just automatically not, allow him in? That's how I'm kind of thinking of sniping. And I'm not advocating either way. I actually want this to be discussed because I don't know how to handle it.
I got a question, Steve. What if the only person with mods, is having issues and can't eject someone?
Oh, no, there are
lag, they drop out, anything like that, and there's now someone in there being problematic.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Right, there are a couple instances where sniping is a good thing. Like my Hangouts run 8 hours, I go to sleep, and I need someone, if everybody leaves the room, I need someone to kill the room for me. So I give them permission, snipe me out of the room.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, we could also present problems. Let's say that there's a Hangout that's heading towards a group of 5 people on a track, and the only way to stop that is to snipe one person from the Hangout. Then the morally good option would be to snipe the one to save the 5, right?
I mean,
or if somebody was having mic issues all day while in a Hangout trying to get their mic to work, they finally get in and then they get bumped out right in the last minute.
Yeah, and people that consistently interrupt pseudo. That's the other thing too. People that constantly interrupt pseudo.
That was funny, pseudo.
Oh yeah, I know it was.
I was going
I actually
right
had
on
something set up to do a JD, but
I didn't snipe you though. I didn't snipe you. That's a difference.
I know. Okay. I was gonna come here, Steve. Why did you kick me out of the Hangout?
But we were done.
Why
like
did
literally
you kick me out of your
later.
Hangout?
So I mean, that's
but
why
also,
I was like,
what if the mod steps away and someone comes in here and starts waving their dick around? I mean,
yeah,
that's a good instance where someone can snipe that person.
Well, that's basically what I said when the mod has an issue like lag or is unaware of something going on.
I trust enough people where I think if somebody knows how to remove somebody from the Hangout and they didn't have moderators. By the way, I give most people moderator anyways. If they give me an honest, good reason why, I'd be like, I'm fine with that, right? I mean,
just don't threaten to stab them.
If I, like for example, I get mods all the time in here, which I don't have right now. But Hannah knows.
Are you sure about that, bitch?
Did I? I didn't look.
How do you know that?
Just testing on Xbox. Oh, I do buy Xbox.
Yeah.
So but there are times where we might actually have to use it. I don't think I've ever ejected anybody if I'm here. Not that I recall, but there might be a time where it's required, right? So, it's a case by case kind of basis. But going back to the sniping thing, him sniping in Matt Slick's room, should that affect us in our rooms? What do you think?
A non-mod sniping because they don't like the person is I think universally wrong.
Really quickly, can someone add Schrodinger's lemur? I can't find him on the manual ad.
Wait, is he in the room or not in the room?
Not in the room. Add him to the room.
If you'll give me the join link on the side there, I can paste it to him. He's in my circle.
All right, hold on 1 second. If someone could do that now, that'd be great. My hands are full at the moment.
I don't on my address bar up there. I don't have the.
You want to take care of it then? Can you got it?
Yeah,
I can just add him into the external chat, right?
Yeah, I can do that right now. I'm adding him right now, the external. He's added.
That's cool. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna snipe him then.
I'm gonna snipe the shit.
Let's do it. Last man standing. That's
no, hold on. You have to first let him into the Hangout. We have to observe him, and then he has to leave.
Oh, wait, but to go back to the question I wanted to ask Wolf, sorry. Didi in his Hangout mentioned that you were being fed information from Jack and Realistic Nihilist in order to rebut some of his points. Now, I didn't watch the Hangout that you hosted, and I wanted to ask, so is that at all valid? Is that true? Wolf, are you there? I mean, I don't really care if you were, but
I mean,
I want to address a problem if that one a
if that
bigger
was
problem.
go ahead.
If it's not an answer, this is the bigger problem I see in the community is when people start fighting people rather than the ideas and the arguments. Who cares if Jack was outside giving him answers? If they were
Right.
valid answers that
I agree.
Darwin, who cared that it was Wolf that it was coming from?
It shouldn't matter at all.
Right.
That tells you right there that Darwin's isn't actually interested in conversation. He's interested in trying to tackle people, and that's why I have little to say to the dude because I'm just going to hurt his feelings, and I've let him know he can come in the hangout. Darwin's is free to come in the hangouts, and I will put my foot up his ass, figuratively speaking. But he gets no quarter. He deserves none because he's not here to have a genuine conversation. Unless you say, hey, I'm not here to talk about Precept. Let's talk about Star Wars. And then maybe his old wrinkly, grumpy ass will actually want to have a human conversation like a regular fucking person.
And here's the thing, Direct. Here's the thing. The other day when Darwin tried to engage me, right after that got done, I had actually messaged Brojo and Alex, and I said, not Alex Malpass, but the kid, and I said, hey, you want to open a room? I'm happy right now. Skylar and I would love to go into your room, Alex, and bring in Darwin. So let's have at it. And Darwin's refused.
Right,
Yeah,
and see, and that's different than two people that might not like each other having a dispute about an argument. That's a little different. But when it's just about attacking the person and what that single person knows and may not know, that's just how Drag put it perfectly.
But the thing is, I get bored with Darwin's, right? I mean, I've been down his Precept route how many times now? I'm not interested in having that conversation with him again. How long has this been? I've done this before on Nadia's channel with him countless times. I want to have him answer questions that are not related to his Precept, that are completely off script.
He can't.
I know he can't. I know
he's unable to talk about anything.
I got
it. Like, oh, look at Steve. He's avoiding the questions.
Has there ever been one hangout where he did?
Wait, let Floyd answer this one.
No.
Yeah, well, has there ever been one hangout where he hasn't done Precept? I can't think of one.
No, there's not been a single question. A time he's answered my questions.
Yeah,
he won't do it.
I've had a couple, but
I mean, this his icon is so arrogant. I mean, I just see him, and if I have mods, I kick him right away. He's not worth talking to.
Floyd, and I have to apologize to you for not. A long time ago, we'd always have hangouts with Matt Bell in them, and you'd always ag me. You should just kick him. I apologize because I'm still friends with Matt, and I still have discussions. But to see another person like DD kind of acting the same way towards people, I should have listened to you, and then kicking him right away.
Matt Bell adds very little.
So I hope you accept my apology.
No,
he's a contrarian. He's a contrarian.
He may play devil's advocate, but he's not necessarily as bad as DD. What he's trying to do, he's trying to solidify an argument most of the time.
No. This was a thing that was between Matt and Floyd and I that started with a whole big deal of him calling us yellow-blooded Americans and
breaking up Xbox.
It was a whole ordeal.
Being liberals, he called us and stuff like that.
Matt likes to throw shit at people.
Floyd knows what I'm talking about. So I owe him an apology for it.
Well, Matt Bell plays pissing contests with people all the time. Like,
oh yeah. He tried it with me once, and I just kept one-upping him with like real life stuff, and I was like, I can go grab my uniform right now and my DD-214. You don't know what I have. I said, you probably have a walker behind you. I guarantee you don't have any type of fatigues from the Scottish military. Go sit down, old man. And it's like he does that. For whatever reason. I'm not even going to speculate, but it's funny because it's like, look, Matt, we can talk about the stuff. If you want to throw shit, we can throw shit, but let's offer it as like jokes, because you're trying to come for people's necks, and then you get upset when I say something really mean and hurtful to you. But I'd rather not, because he's old looking.
Old looking.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, DD has nothing to offer. Yeah, he's just trying to belittle people. It's the same thing. He's a one-trick pony. He's just not worth talking to.
I wonder how much he charges.
That's why I always try to get him off script, but he won't do it, right? And so it's just like, oh, well, look at Steve. He won't answer the questions. I'm like, look at, asked and answered. I've been down this route numerous times. I'll sit there and do the Precept game if you really want, but this is boring. You've done it a billion times. Let's talk about some real shit there, Darwin's. Yeah, forget it. Forget it.
Yeah, I remember Darwin's tried to argue creationism one time, and he did horrible.
Ew.
He did really bad, and he hasn't tried since. Like, he tried to do the typical, attack evolution, sort of arguments, which are, pretty lame, and he just didn't get far at all. And
Oh yeah, when he first came to the community, well, before his first exodus, he did try that, because that's when I introduced Sam to him, and then he started asking Sam about, well, what's your background? And Sam went on to explain. He goes, oh, well, I didn't need to know anything about that. That's not relevant to the conversation. Like literally right after he had asked Sam what his background was, and that was hilarious.
Well, he plays on the fact that people don't really know a lot about these topics. I mean, like what you're doing right now. Who the fuck's gonna know the answer to these? I mean, it's very specific.
I got a bit of
specific, right?
I got a bit of butthurt from Darwin. I don't know if you guys can. Let me see if I can blow it up. So this was when Ozzy was on The Place a few days ago, talking about Ravi Zacharias, and I think Dr. Jones was asking, who likes the broadcast? Like the hit the like button. And so Darwin's, of course, he's not liking it at all. He was not happy about the content of whatever it was that was being discussed at that moment. So he got a little sand in his vagina.
Did you notice Dr. Jones actually putting a shout out to me? That was nice.
I did see that. He did mention your name.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, when I went into Bible Thumb Wingnut, I'm now the well-known agnostic.
Oh, wow.
That's how I was introduced as. Steve, we have Steve, a well-known agnostic.
How do you become a well-known agnostic?
I have no idea.
They think you're atheist. That fucking happens to me all the time.
Who knows? I don't know.
Well, we could say you're more popular than Ronnie.
I would hope so.
You're more
memorable. Well, hang on. Yeah, more memorable. Sock and I, we're having this discussion all damn day today, and Sock and I were literally about to take our heads, just slam them against a solid oak desk numerous times, dealing with certain people. I mean, Sokka was making some very excellent points, and the people that we were talking to, I swear to fucking God, they weren't even addressing a single thing that either one of us were saying, and it was just like, this is a point refuted 1,000 times. It's the Pratt. We don't want to keep going down this route. We've already addressed this. This is something that's it's outside the community anymore, because it's like the forbidden fruit shit, right? And if you guys want to talk about it, fine. But listen, I don't want to spend 5 hours talking about this, and we're ending up spending 5 hours talking about it because they weren't fucking listening to what either one of us were having to say. Is that pretty much in a nutshell, Sokka? If you agree with me to say
no, okay. Pretty much, yeah, pretty much like that was it. It was just it was just frustrating, because like you bring up like these points where it's just like because it was a standard thing, just like atheism is a lack of belief in God. Like, okay, well, I understand. And the most disingenuous thing is that they go and they link like the Wikipedia article that says the very first thing is like, atheism broadly defined is a lack of belief in God. And it's just like, okay, and then and it was like, well, did you read the next two sentences?
No,
because the next two sentences deal with more narrowly, though, it means people that believe that gods exist, or even narrower is the belief that that gods don't exist.
So when you specified your position, they would rather take the broader one because it's easier to attack.
It was worse than that. It was much worse than that, because they would have like a syllogism. Sokka reworded the syllogism to where to say the same thing from our perspective. And I think, I did it or you did. I don't remember. One of us did. And they found fault with that. It's like, wait a minute, it's the same thing you're saying, only from the other point of view. And what's worse is they kept on claiming that we're making fallacies. Let me explain certain things about fallacies. Floyd, correct me if I'm wrong. If I say, hey, Sokka, your argument sucks because you're an idiot, that's an ad hom. If I say, hey, Sokka, your argument is wrong because this, and this, and this, and you're an idiot, that's not an ad hom. That's just a pejorative or an insult.
Right. Well, because they're doing the whole, all atheists are babies, or sorry, all babies are atheists.
That was the big
topic. Okay. And I'm just like, well, how do you get that? They say, well, atheism is a lack of belief in a god. I'm just like, okay, that's fine, okay. Now, would you say that a theist lacks a belief in the non-existence of God? They have a belief. Yeah, we're not going to deny that they do hold a belief that gods exist. But because they hold a belief that gods exist, they also lack the belief that gods do not exist. So, would you say that that's an accurate representation of the theistic position as well? That you can define it in both ways. And a theist believes that gods exist, and they also lack the belief that they don't. and they're like, yeah, well, yes, whatever, yeah, sure, whatever. It's like, okay, well then in that case, babies also lack the belief in the non-existence of God because they don't hold on to a belief.
Yeah, they
so
don't have a position one way or the other.
yeah, so they don't have a position. So by your logic, a baby can be an atheist and a theist. So so that's why I think that it's that, well, technically you could say it's correct that all atheists lack a belief in God, but it's insufficient just to simply put there. And then I put forward a pretty coherent argument how the lack of belief in a proposition, it doesn't always do, but in the case of the atheism, implies the antithesis of that proposition as well. And I explained how, that to say that you lack a belief in a God, in the case that these people were putting it forward, would also mean that they believe that gods don't exist. And I laid this all out. And you know what their reply was to this? It's like, nah.
No,
it's not committing that. I got literally. I'm not lying. I literally got accused. Wrap your head around this. I got accused of committing the fallacy of reductio ad absurdum.
Wait, how?
Wrap your head around this.
How do you?
I'm like, do you not understand a reductio ad absurdum is a type of argument? It's a way of doing an argument, and it's not a fallacy.
It's a philosophical device, isn't it?
Yes, but not according to this person. This person was just like, oh, you committed the fallacy of reductio ad absurdum. I'm like,
wow,
just stop. Now I'm really beginning to hurt. My head.
You've committed the fallacy of defeating my argument.
Can nobody really invite Lemur? He actually has a very good point in the outside
chat. I did invite him.
Hold on, let me see if I can. Okay, send me a private message.
You added it to the thing, yeah. Give me the join link to the Hangout, and I'll actually private message him the link.
Okay. Yeah, I like Lemur. He's a good guy.
Yeah, no, he actually brings up a very interesting point, which I actually wanted to. I don't want to say I wanted to bring up with DD because I know essentially it's just going to go back on my worldview and we'd probably never get to it. But it's always a question in the back of my mind. If God is the reason for logic, right? He's the foundation for logic, right? Does that mean logic isn't trustworthy on its own? Because we'd have to have God reveal it to us?
Yeah, well, it also assumes that logic is valid.
Yeah.
Right.
It tells us something about their God. It doesn't tell us anything about logic. God, their God has the property of being logical. Okay, well, it tells me something about their God, but what does that mean about logic? Nothing. It doesn't inform us at all about logic.
No,
I was just talking with Josh and Jack not too long ago, and I think Justin too, and they were making a pretty good case for this. I can't repeat their argument, but if you want to bring one of them in to give you his thing,
yeah, please. If we have packing peanuts, what the fuck is up?
Soccer, Xbox.
Yeah.
No, well, if we have enough room, then please, by all means, stay. But if we
actually, I'm gonna go because I forgot. I told somebody I was gonna play Division with them tonight. So yeah, I'm gonna go.
Division is such a stupid game. What the fuck are you still playing that for? No, it's okay.
Because someone asked me.
Oh
shit. Forgot.
Division sucks.
Well, you know what? I play with my friends when they ask me.
That's fine. Why don't you play League of Legends with me then?
Other friends.
He has played with me a lot of times. Have you played with me a few times, haven't you, Greg?
Yeah, I have. I played not Auto Assault.
APB. Games. I'm sorry, games. Okay.
Games,
yeah. And hide the penis. And hide the penis.
And hide the penis. Yeah. But I actually do want to explore that. I invited
sexuality.
No. Fuck. That's to the conversation.
I kind of want to explore that. Hey,
you leave these hanging sentences there, and it's seriously, like, please put something in here.
Soundbite.
It doesn't mean you get to rob my house while I leave the door open. Jesus.
Is that a racist remark?
I think it is.
Are you implying that Drag is just going to steal everything from him because he's black?
Or a raper, whichever one.
Or a raper. Oh my god. Point being is, I would love for Lemur to come in and to present that argument. Okay? Shit.
Lemur needs to fix his internets.
There's room for him.
Fuck it, no.
Actually, I'm going to invite EO in here too, because EO, I think, has something to say about this topic, because he was discussing the Slickster and some of the other individuals who like to partake in the philosophies. Philosophicist.
Was Matt watching TST? Because I know he was in the outside chat.
Sometimes he does.
These pre-suppers, they basically present the god of the philosophical gaps, because in the past it was the god of the physical gaps, like where does lightning come from, or where does earthquakes come from, or things like that, and science has figured those things out. So now they have to retreat to the murky corners of philosophy. Justify you're not a brain in a vat, or prove that solipsism's false.
Oh God, Alex Malpass has sent me something he wrote on that whole Putin's argument for why we're not a brain in a vat, and he's like, "Oh, here you go, Steve, read this," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to wait till you get back, and we're gonna have to like suss this out a little bit more." We're not all like you, Alex. We're not all like philosophical geniuses.
Hi there. This is Lima. So the argument I was making was that Matt Slick had horribly shot himself in the foot by making logic contingent on God, because by doing so, he's rendered a logical proof of God unconvincing. This is because in the universe with a God on whom trustworthy logic depends, we might devise an apparently valid proof of God, because logic is trustworthy. But in a universe where there's no God to make logic trustworthy, well, we might also devise an apparently valid proof of God, because logic isn't trustworthy. So the existence of a logical proof of God is rendered irrelevant if logic is contingent on God. That's the gist.
I'm sussing that out on my head.
Wait, so just maybe if you and I have a dialogue about it, maybe it'd make it easier. So let's pretend. Hold on, let me broadcast EO. Hold on.
No, I think I actually understood him. I think I got there.
So if I were to say that the law of non-contradiction is contingent on God ensuring that holds true in all times and all places, because he's the one that is contingent on, right? Then I can't render a logical proof to validate that law.
I think okay. Let me, Lemurs. I think what you're saying is this: if it's contingent upon God in a universe where God exists, we could actually formulate a logical proof showing God's existence. However, if God does not exist, we could use that same proof to show that he does exist, which would be a contradiction.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, the clearest way to answer it is to answer Hannah's question. Yeah, I think Steve got the gist, but I'll answer Hannah's question because it's more informative. Hannah, I'm not saying that you couldn't render the proof if God wasn't sitting there propping up non-contradiction. You could render the proof, but we shouldn't consider that proof convincing, because in the situation where God wasn't sitting there propping up the law of non-contradiction, the proof should be unconvincing. Do you see where I'm coming from?
No, I understand. Okay, that makes sense.
But in a universe where God doesn't exist, if you have a logical deductive proof, you're saying though it's still going to be a logical deductive proof, even though it's not contingent upon anything.
So the problem that Matt has created for himself is he has effectively stated, at least as far as I understand it, that only God can cause logic to be valid, and then he tries to use logic to prove that God is valid. And the problem is that if his first claim that God is the only thing that can cause logic to be valid, he's made any logical proof of God completely. He's defanged it completely.
Yeah, it's circular too. You're gonna use logic to prove that logic is valid.
Doesn't that go against like Gould's incompleteness theorem or something?
Well, it's circular. You're assuming logic is valid to do that.
I get what Limer's saying. I think he's right, but it still takes away from the whole crux of the fact that Matt's argument is simply just wrong because he's merely asserting one of the two operands in the disjunction is not the case. He's just asserting that outright with no reason. That's the whole problem. And that's what it boils down to. I think that needs to be laser focused on. because you can't let him get away with it. You can't let him say, "Hey, Matt, why is it not the condition for not P that there is no other God that can account for logical logic? Can you prove or show that your God is the only possible way to account for logical logic? You can't just arbitrarily take one of the operands out of the disjunctive syllogism, right?
Well, this is one of the problems that you always run into with them is that you'll ask them for something like that. It's like, okay, well, God needs to exist for the preconditions of intelligibility or tools of rationality or whatever. And you're like, okay, can you prove that? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Premise 1, if God didn't exist, we wouldn't have the tools of rationality. Wait, hold on a second.
We're saying the same thing.
Yeah, that's your first premise. He's like, yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, if God doesn't exist, we can't have the tools of rationality. We have the tools of rationality, therefore God exists. Okay. So that first premise that's kind of what I'm trying to get you to prove. He's like, yeah, I just did. He's like, well, yeah, it's circular. You don't get this. Now, what Matt's done is Matt's tried to put forward a defense for the very first premise, because that's what his argument is. His argument is based on trying to get to some type of solid point with that first premise. And so what he does is he forms this disjunctive syllogism argument. But that argument fails too because it's not actually a disjunctive syllogism. And I mean, we all know the reasons why the whole P or not P shit fails. And they just don't get it, and I don't understand why. Like for guys that are so focused on trying to make logical arguments, they seem pretty averse to using logic.
Yeah, it's like when they say my God is necessary because of the impossibility of the contrary. Well, that's what necessary means. For something to be necessary, the contrary is impossible.
That's just an assertion.
Yeah,
they don't demonstrate that.
It's tautology. They're saying my God is necessary because he's necessary.
Why?
Yeah,
Why?
that's what you need to show.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's necessary because he's necessary. That doesn't tell me a damn thing.
But what they get around with this is that I think most people can recognize the problems with these right away, and this is why you have the DD script, the precept script there, where it's they'll switch it around. It's like, well, how do you account for the tools of rationality? And it's just, and then the conversation goes on, whatever viewpoint you have there, and then they try to hold it there because they've realized that they've gotten to the point where it's like, oh shit, they're onto us. We can't justify this. Quick, how do you do this? And when you can't, because I mean, depending on what your epistemic framework is, you might not be able to. Or you won't be able to. They'll just they'll jump with that and be like, well, hey, remember my worldview? My worldview does have an account for this. It's like, no, it doesn't. We haven't gotten that far. Remember, you bailed at the same part that you're trying to get me to justify.
You know what I find? I don't find too many theists actually going around trying to support Matt Slick's argument. They do on a very cursory level, right? Oh, you guys are all wrong. You know what you're talking about. Matt Slick's argument's good. And then you ask them details about it. They have no fucking idea what he's arguing for, right? They don't understand the whole thing on tag. And so I just find these people are to be more like, sycophants. And I like Matt in some ways. Again, I've had great discussions with Matt on my channel. And he's a decent guy when he's not talking about this philosophy shit, right? But he just refuses to accept the fact that there are a lot of people out there telling him he's wrong on this, and he cannot come to terms with it. And because you do have a few sycophants. Yeah, I know, but you do have a few sycophants that will sit there in the live feed of his show, right, and go, "Oh, these people are just wrong." Especially like the admin, the people that speak Spanish. They're just like, "Oh, you guys aren't listening to Matt's argument." Yes, we have. It's wrong.
Well, here's the challenge again that I'll put this out for. I put this out for DD sycophants, guys like Antonio and Brojo and those guys there, where it's just like, if you think that DD has a good argument with his position of presuppositionalism, okay, if you think that he has a good argument, I'm guessing that's probably because you understand it. Because if you didn't know if it was a good argument or not, then I can understand you might not know what the argument actually is. But these guys, swaddle DD's balls like, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I'm assuming that they, have kind of an understanding of what he's putting forward there. So if any of those guys want to defend DD's argument because DD just doesn't want to, then I am up for that discussion. I am always up for that discussion. If you want to put forward DD's argument and you want to try to defend it, let's do it. Whatever.
I'd actually like to have someone come in and, either whether it be Darwin's himself or a friend of his, mainly because this is something that needs to be answered, right? And it's not like we're stalking him and saying, I'm holding a knife to his neck and be like, you better motherfucking answer this fucking question. No. It's a relevant objection. And there are other questions that I think haven't been thoroughly addressed in the community. I think it's mostly just been dancing around.
Well, one thing DD will do, he'll just shift the burn to you. He'll start asking questions to you about your worldview.
Right.
If you ask him, "Oh, please justify this," he'll immediately start asking you questions. Like, no, that's not about my worldview. This is about your worldview. You need to answer it within your.
That's why I want to get him in a different type of format, because again, if you don't get him in the right conditions, he's going to try to keep putting it back on you. I want to have him answer questions about his worldview because he's never done it. Ever. And if somebody else wants to try to take the reins and say, okay, well, I can explain to you Darwin's arguments. Okay, I'm happy with that.
Well, Brojo tried to come in and tried to defend one of these arguments, but it was just it was really bad. But he's just like, well, the first notion that he wants to defend is that atheists are inconsistent because atheists can't justify their worldview. It's like, okay, well, what do you mean by justify? It's like, well, you believe that no gods exist, but you don't talk about all the other gods or why you don't exist. I'm just like, well, because they're irrelevant to the conversation. If I'm talking to a Christian, we already agree that 99.9% of those gods don't exist. So why would we talk about them? Let's talk about the one claim that you want to put forward. And it's like, no. Let's talk about all of them. Why do you believe that no gods exist? And let's go through all of them. I'm just like, well, the reason is going to vary depending on which god we're talking about. And so it's irrelevant to the conversation. And
but you do realize that's just a tactic, so they don't have to they don't have to take they don't have to do an argument about their own worldview. That's right. It's a flexion.
So what he wanted to do is just like he wanted to go through all the god claims and figure out why I don't believe them. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I'll do that. If you really want to do that, let's do it. You name a god, I'll tell you why I don't believe in them. And we got through two, and I was perfectly justified in my reason, and he kept on wanting to move on to more and all this other stuff, and but he didn't understand. And then he'd always kind of stop and he'd just keep on going and be like, and see, this is the problem with atheists, is they don't want to justify their worldview. I'm just like, hold on a second. That is exactly what I'm doing right now. That is exactly, this is what we've been doing for the last 45 minutes. You wanted me to defend my disbelief in every god concept. We've made it through two. How much more do we have to do before we get to the claim that you want to put forward?
Right.
And exactly it. Yeah, and he didn't. It was getting ridiculous. It was just like, I can't believe that this is. Does he think that this is a good position? But if it's not, if that's not the most telling thing about somebody's position, that they don't want to put anything forward that they have to defend, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, and that's exactly true, because I'm willing to answer any questions about my position, right? I mean, I really am. But there's a point we got to say, okay, enough. Let's talk about your positions for a change. And I've answered all of Darwin's questions at one time or another. Every one. I mean, come on, we go way back. I can't think of any time he's answered any question I put forth to him without answering with another question.
So I might have some insight into that. I remembered an old hangout that Theoretical Bullshit. I don't know if you're familiar with the guy, but
yeah, Scott Clifton, of course.
Yeah, he chatted with Matt Slick, and at one stage he presented a counterfactual to situation to consider, and Matt Slick outright said, "I can't entertain that. That would be to be judging God or something." He said something similar, and so when Theoretical Bullshit sort of pushed it on him and said, "Why can't you consider that counterfactual?" It became clear that Matt was in fear for his immortal soul if he considered the counterfactual. And I sort of wonder if that's a big stumbling block with a lot of the apologists.
Maybe. I mean, I think Matt Slick is a legit theologian. I think he honestly believes everything he says. I don't see any trace of him not believing in God or anything like that, right? I don't think that's the case. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think he believes, but I think he's got this thing that prevents him from evaluating some counterfactuals or things that he thinks are counterfactuals. He just literally can't evaluate them. It's against the rules.
Yeah, but that's the problem with that isn't that what indoctrination does to a person? I mean, if you want to claim you're a great logician, and he does say he has a background in logic, I don't have the skill set or the background to determine whether that's true or not, but other people tell me that he doesn't. But if you can't even entertain certain hypotheticals, how could you actually consider yourself to be a theologian more or less a person of logic and reason? That's what they do. They entertain these hypotheticals and then try to solve problems that might be out there that they say, you know what, I have this position. Let me think about it and let me try to poke holes in it myself. That's what I do all the time. I'm constantly reevaluating certain things that I hold because I'm like, okay, I see a problem with this. Is this an actual problem? Oh wait, no, it's not because of this. I think we all kind of do that in some ways, don't we? At least most of us that are rational people. No,
so I think there are two.
Yeah, it's closed-minded, and they're trying to close themselves off to other ideas because they consider it as sin. They're not being faithful to their God.
So I think there are two parts to theology. Theology is a bit like philosophy. It's just that it's philosophy that either has to always assume that there's a God up front, or always end with the conclusion that there's a God as a conclusion, one or the other. And I think perhaps Matt Slick is doing theology badly because he won't consider counterfactuals to draw the conclusion that God exists, which seems to me leave him half a theologian.
Yeah, no, I think it's a problem too. So, I mean, I watched him the other day after that particular interaction I had with him, and he had the Council of Google or whatever that thing he does, and he was just kind of berating another Calvinist, or maybe the guy was Calvinist or Armenian, but I mean, he was really going off some biblical stuff with him, and I'm like, well, this is something I have no area to even decide whether he's right or wrong on. But if he's going to tell somebody else he's wrong, how can he not entertain the fact that he might be? I don't understand the position. You can always be wrong on stuff. I'm happy to say that if somebody can prove me wrong on something, okay, like life goes on. It happens. But I don't think that his Calvinistic approach allows him to even entertain that possibility that he's wrong. And Sokka needs to be. Oh wait, I got mods. Damn it.
Well, if you already start with the conclusion,
I didn't eject him. Yeah, if you already start with the conclusion, automatically right?
Pretty much.
That's another thing I said to this person. Again, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to go down that road. But I said to this person, hey, this is such a minor position in our community that most of the entire Great Debate community agree with me on this. I don't feel like it's to be opened again. I really don't want to go down this route because I don't want to spend hours and hours talking about this. It's kind of a dead horse. And somehow that turned into an argument from ad populum. And I'm like, no, that's not an argument for ad populum. That would be, hey, I'm right because everybody agrees with me. That's not what I said. I just said that almost everybody agrees with me. It's not worth discussing again. And it just, I don't know. People need to learn these fallacies correctly. Drives me nuts when somebody says I committed a fallacy and I know that I didn't.
I mean, the fallacies are all fine and good, but there's a point at which, whether it's pre-sup or tag or whatever, it doesn't really matter what the argument is. I mean, if you've heard it and you've already kind of, for whatever reasons, kind of turned your nose up to it, especially with something like pre-sup that it's like, you already know God exists. And it's like, no, actually, I don't.
But you're done at that point. You can't have a conversation with somebody like that. Hey, Shadow, I know that you believe in Zeus. Well, I know you do. You know why? Because Zeus told me, and he can't be wrong.
Well, actually, in a way, I do believe in Zeus. My ex-brother-in-law had a dog named Zeus, and I believe in the dog. Therefore, God exists. What?
Well, that would be G-Man's argument, actually.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, how many times do you think we have to hear the exact same arguments over and over before they get it through their head that they're not working?
That's why I said I could only deal with so many arguments, and it's like, look, if it's an argument that I've heard a million times, I really don't want to deal with it. And people be like, oh, you're just avoiding it. No, I have thousands of videos, or at least 400 videos. Go find one and watch. I just, you know, things need to be addressed every so often, just because that's what we do, but not all the fucking time, people. If you haven't learned simple shit by now, you're not going to get it. If Matt hasn't learned his arguments wrong by now, he's not going to get it.
Well, wrong might be the wrong way to phrase it. Let's give them a little bit of leeway. Ineffective.
Oh, no, I say it's outright wrong.
I'd like to agree with that, but if we're going to give them the benefit of doubt, at best, it's ineffective.
It's ineffectively not right. And again, I mean, I'm not some brilliant guy in logic, right? I have a very basal level of education in this topic. But if I could even figure out why Slick's wrong, then I sure the hell think that anybody else could.
So, in the Talking Shit Tuesday hang that just happened, the problem of deduction was mentioned, which is basically the problem that when you're doing a deductive argument, any conclusion you might reach is actually implicit in the premises. But I think that the problem of deduction, normally people make a big deal of the problem of induction, whereby induction can't be proven by deduction. Induction can only be proven by induction, and this is considered a serious problem, along with the fact that as a result induction is not inherently trustworthy. Now, I've been thinking recently that the problem of induction is actually much more serious than the problem of induction. For instance, the reliability problem with induction is not the end of the world. The problem is that deduction can't address some very serious problems is much more disastrous than the unreliability of induction. I'd compare it to Steve, if I asked you to fix a toilet, would you rather have an unreliable wrench or a reliable screwdriver? You know.
No, I do know what you're saying. I don't think that was what I was saying in TST. I think it was Sokka was mentioning that deductive reasoning doesn't add anything informational wise to the argument. It takes what you have and arrange it in such where you can get a conclusion from it if the premises are true. Right. So I mean, I definitely see there's problems with both. I believe there's no one set way of having any kind of conclusive Cartesian certainty for anything, even with deductive, because deductive still has to follow from certain axioms, which again I take, axiomatically. I hate to say it, I take them as probably basic beliefs. But yeah, you're gonna have a problem with any system, whether it be deductive or inductive. Isn't that kind of a well-known thing that no system is completely perfect? If you accept one, you're gonna have problems somewhere else.
Yeah, well, I mean,
phrasing that all fucked up.
Junk in, junk out.
Yeah, and I think abduction is the best we've got, and that's basically a combination of deduction and induction, isn't it?
No, I think abduction is purely induction in my book, because abduction is the best explanation for something, giving prior observations, and that's a key thing. You have to have some kind of prior observations to have a good abductive argument. This is why it fails for like Ronnie, because Ronnie tries to throw out, oh, it's not a what does he say? I don't know. He ends up saying, oh, it's just an abductive argument. Well, no, it's not, because we've never seen certain things that he's claiming we've seen before. So it's not even in the realm of abductive argument. But abductive argument, see, the reason abductive argument can't be a deductive argument, because a deductive argument, the conclusions always fall from the premises. But in an abductive, you could be wrong.
Okay,
I could actually say, I could say, hey, look, this is the best explanation I've got based upon prior observations, but it could be some kind of weird random string of events that led me to that conclusion that I was completely wrong upon, leading to a faulty conclusion. Right? I use the example like I'm in the middle of the night and I smell poop and my daughter's crying. I like this example. I don't know why it just works. But I'm like, okay, my daughter needs changing. I go downstairs, find out she's actually hungry, and the cat took a dump in the cat box, right? But my abductive argument was sound, but I happen to be wrong.
I guess my comment would be that you did some deducing when you were drawing your conclusion, as there was induction and deduction there. You for instance, eliminated all things that are incapable of producing smell, and I'm going to argue that you did that by deduction, not by induction.
eliminated all things that could produce that smell?
No, you eliminated as possibilities all things that don't produce smell.
Like, so it wasn't okay. So I don't know. Would that be deductive? It's still based on prior observations of what I knew the smell to be, right? If I know what
what he's saying is that deductively, like when no new information is added, like you're starting off with the prior with for one of your first deductive premises, in that case to support whatever premise in your argument, that there are certain things that make this smell or whatever, like you can do that, and that can still be deductive.
Okay,
I'll necessarily in past experience.
Sure. Yeah, because there's no new information being added to that. That's okay. Yeah, okay.
I guess that raises another interesting thought, though. I believe that we accept the validity of deduction by induction. For instance, when I was taught Boolean logic, I tested it. I did some examples. I found that I got consistent and correct results. If I hadn't got consistent and correct results, I would have, by induction, concluded that Boolean logic was invalid. I don't know if it works the other way. I don't know if you can deduce inductive logic. I don't think you can.
I don't know. But I do like your argument that you first came in here with, and I've been mulling it over even more. If we lived in a universe where we knew there was no God, why wouldn't these laws of logical principles of logic hold true? That is an argument I've never heard anyone make a case for. What would it be about the non-existence of a God that all of a sudden make A not equal A?
Yeah, it's like when they say, "Oh, we need God to sustain the laws of the universe." It's like,
why?
What? It's like you need someone to constantly keep a finger in the hole in the dam.
Yeah. I mean, will they arbitrarily change if there's no God to do that?
Yeah. Or if there's no God, it would be chaos. No. The universe itself, the nature of the universe itself, can be orderly and have laws. It's part of its nature.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those weird things. That, like when you try to bring up objections to it, saying that logic itself is like a subset of language. We use logic to express relationships of concepts. It's an inference tool in that way, I guess you could say. And they're like, but the thing that it's referring to, the things that we're referring to, they try to go to this abstract idea where it's just like what they really want to know is, why is a cat and a cat is never not a cat? And if you try to say this, like, well, that's how we define it. What they want to know is like, well, why does it maintain that state? What is the thing that's maintaining the identity of this thing so that it doesn't change? Yeah, and so, you ever see Hitchhiker's are you trying to, are they trying to put forward the argument that if there was like a universe without a God, but other objects existed within that universe, that those objects can change identity, just all willy-nilly, like whenever they wanted to?
I'm trying to say. Yeah, have you ever seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with the improbability drive, whatever that's called, the Heart of Gold? I mean, where just anything could possibly happen. Do they think that's what's going to occur if there was no God to keep order in the universe? Because I don't know how that would follow from anything.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess first of all, I'd just like to note there is some fabulous science fiction based on the idea that that the universe goes to hell if God takes a weekend off. But secondly, I sort of wanted to
read The Comedy of Joe by Robert A. Heinlein. That's kind of something similar to that.
Okay, cool. I'll look it up.
Read that. It's really good.
But the other thing is, I sort of wonder if it bugs people who make this argument about logic being immutable and generated continuously by God. I sort of wonder if it bugs them when we observe things which actually do contravene a classical law of logic. And you may think no such thing exists, but actually quantum logic does differ from classical logic in at least one case that I know of.
Okay,
which
Chris,
I can present if anyone's interested.
I got to tell you, we are going to have a hangout. Alex Malpass just sent me something that was dealing directly with this, how quantum mechanics may or may not affect how we look at classical logic. And I have the paper that he sent me, and he actually tried correcting me, or he tried to correct me on something that I said when I was talking to Slick. And I'm kind of getting what Malpass is saying, but it's a little bit much. But we are going to have a hangout on this, so I want to invite you to it at some point. Where we're going to have a hangout. Does quantum mechanics have a relationship to classical rules of logic? And we're going to go over this paper. It's not an easy read, but would you be interested in that?
Yeah, fascinating. Just so we don't leave everyone in the dark, I'll just explain. It's really simple. So normally, if my premise was A and B or C, so the situation is that A and B or C, and most people would go, therefore, either A and B or B and C. And it's a sort of a commutative law. I'll repeat it if it's unclear, but that should work for most people who've done any logic. The problem is that in quantum mechanics, that doesn't follow, or it appears not to follow anyway.
Well, okay, so what is it? You have A. What is it? Read it one more time.
Okay, so A and then in brackets B or C.
B, okay, A and B or C. Right, I got that. I can see that in my head. Yep.
And from that, classical logic would tell us that we can infer that either A and B,
or A or C,
or A and C.
Right.
Yeah, I said it wrong the first time. You're right.
Yeah.
So, all right, and in classical logic, that is completely true, and in quantum logic, it appears not to be.
Oh, okay. Well, that's something we'll have to bring up with Alex. Like I said, that. Yeah, because if you have the operand A and then you have a parenthetical group B or C, then you actually either can have A and B or A and C, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
If I remember Boolean truth tables. Hey, I used to electronics, so.
Well, Steve, there was one thing I wanted to bring up, and I forgot about this, and I was going to make a post on this as well, just because it was another hilarious point that came up in your recent discussion with Matt Slick there. But you brought up the example of yeah, you brought up an example of like I can't remember what it was. It's like a quantum computer that can express a 1 and a 0 at the same time.
Yeah.
And you said it's like, well, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that's what Alex is kind of getting me on a little bit. But I have to really delve much more deeper into this to understand what Alex is trying to say, because he's talking about some kind of weird distributed context too, and that's exactly what Lemur was here talking about. He was talking about certain things like the velocity of a function don't actually have that distributed property when you're dealing with mass and velocity, and I'm getting that, but that wasn't what I was trying to relate to Matt. So go ahead. Maybe you were going in that direction, but.
Well, no, it was funny because you had said that in a situation where something can be 1 and 0, I think Matt's response to that was something along the lines of, well, it doesn't violate the law of identity because its identity is to be 1 and 0 at the same time.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. The way I was going about it was, you have something in superposition, then you're in a state of being on and off at the same time. Right, and it's supposed to be either one or the other with no third option. But superposition is, I was looking at it from a third option, and that it is in both states simultaneously. That's literally what superpositioning means. But like I said, Alex, when he watched it, right, he watched my interaction. He liked the interaction I had with Slick. Minor points aside, he thought I did a really good job. But he had brought up something with that quantum thing, and so that's why I want to kind of hang out with it at another time to kind of dive into what Alex's objection was. And I think it actually has to do a lot more with what Lemur was saying about the certain things don't distribute properly in quantum mechanics as it would from a classical Boolean point of view, right? Right, Lemur?
Yeah, I think perhaps because our language has largely come from classical logic, I think there's mainly just this problem that we have terrible problem using accurate words when we're talking about superposition. So I don't remember that particular part of your interaction with Matt Slick, so I can't comment on its accuracy or reasonableness either
Well,
way.
my argument was pretty simple on that. It's just look at until something is okay. Let's use this example. Until something is observed, and it's in that state of indeterminability, right? It literally is existing in both conditions simultaneously, is it not? Until a wave function is collapsed and one comes to fruition and the other one doesn't. Would you say that holds true?
I guess what I'd say is that's a valid way of thinking about it, but the really valid way of thinking about it is to understand that that when the natural state of, say, a particle is to be in this fuzzy indeterminate state, and it only becomes a 1 or a 0 when we force it into contact with with something much bigger than itself. And what happens when we, for instance, observe it, which is basically forcing this poor little particle into contact with the Titanic.
Oh, great. Oh, absolutely. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And all of a sudden it's forced to make up its mind. And I guess what we're essentially doing is mugging the poor wee thing and demanding it give us an answer.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, like an electron isn't even thought of as a particle or a wave. Really, it's thought of just as a mathematical point. It's thought of a mathematical construct rather than an actual particle or wave, because electron could be either, just like a photon. But when you're working, you work with the mathematics. This is your area, but I mean, isn't it more just a mathematical thing anymore than thinking of it as an actual physical entity?
Okay, the way I think of an electron is as a geometric what's the word? A geometric strange attractor in the chaos of space.
You're gonna go chaos theory on me, really?
Not exactly. I'm calling it an attractor. So an attractor state is if you look at the weather, you see clouds.
Strange attractors.
Okay. I'm not explaining just for you. So an attractor would be a hurricane. Okay, we can all see that from the cloud satellite views that there's this lovely circular thing going on, and it's clearly an entity unto itself. It's really there, despite the fact that our weather is chaotic. And I'd argue that an electron is similarly a very stable pattern in the quantum field.
Do you know who's actually doing a lot of research in that area right now? Is King Crocoduck. He's actually specialty is in strange attractors right now. So we have to invite him to hang out too on that particular hangout.
Yeah, well, they're fascinating. Most people, when they hear about the butterfly effect, they only remember about the butterfly messing everything up. They forget why it's called, or they don't know why it's called the butterfly effect, and they don't know the amazing stability and predictability that arises from it.
See, I could be wrong, but if you look at some of the stranger attractor models, they look like butterfly wings.
Yeah, well, quite a lot of them do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I don't. That's not why it's called the butterfly effect. But that's just kind of a weird side note that they kind of do look like butterfly wings.
Yeah, I was watching a really good video on it the other day, in which they essentially explained the butterfly wings by arranging a figure of 8 racing track, and they just put a little car on it and showed how this relatively unconstrained car would make patterns that were just like the butterfly effect pattern, and the maths of the two are very similar.
Yeah, it seems like a chaotic system, but there's actually some kind of weird order to it. You know, to us, on a macro level, when we look at a car going around that racetrack like that, we're not going to be able to perceive any kind of real order to it because we do time slicing, right? And so unless you have that thing mapped over a period of time, then you see the pattern more emerge, which I think is interesting. You know, we're so limited in our perspective from how we perceive things.
So on the subject of electrons, we recently got some very accurate measurements of the field around an electron and determined that it's almost unbelievably symmetric and spherical, which sort of supports the idea that if the electron is a strange attractor state of a quantum field, my goodness, it's stable. It's amazingly stable.
And is that literally comprised of like the quantum field? By the way, we're just killing this hangout. Sorry, Hannah. We just totally. You have a lot of people watching, but yeah, this is boring.
I'm just watching the numbers slowly dwindle down.
No, are you kidding? They went up like 20 points. Look at that. People, I don't know. People listen to all kinds of weird shit.
No, I mean, I don't mind. I was actually hoping Brojo or Didi would come in. I wanted to ask them. I wanted to ask him a few questions. Brojo said that he had a talk with you about his sniping business already.
Two things. One, I did give Brojo huge props for coming into my hangout the other day with like 100 people watching, and he did try to run, not run, but explain Didi's arguments. That took cojones. I'm going to give him props for that. Now, on the downside, yeah, he did explain to me in an off-air hangout. I don't accept his explanation. He does not have the empowerment to remove people from hangouts that he thinks arbitrarily are trolls, like people like Jack and Josh, who are not trolls. That's my argument.
Well, to be fair, he joined a hangout of yours, which was unsnipable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
so he may have tried to snipe it.
No, I don't think. No, he hasn't tried to snipe me in a long time. I mean, obviously that first time, but again, he thinks it's okay to remove people from the chat that he thinks are trolls in other places like Bible Thumb Wingness forum. He wouldn't dare do it in mine. He's never done it in mine. I've had him in hangouts where it wasn't unsnipable. He hasn't done it. But my argument was, did Matt Slick give you the empowerment to do that? And after the fact, Matt was like, well, if they're trolls, get rid of them. I'm like, yeah, but that's after the fact. You didn't give him permission to do that. If you did, you would have given him moderator ability. And I can tell you right now that they're not trolls. They're only considered to be trolls because Darwin Deities has labeled them such because he can't refute their arguments.
Well, it's Josh particularly is always in Bible Thumbing Wingnut like every other Sunday as well.
Right.
Like if they labeled him as a troll, they wouldn't have let him in the first place. They wouldn't have given him.
Well, he wasn't under his realistic nihilist account.
Well, it doesn't matter. They give it to his. Typically, they don't give it to realistic nihilist directly, since the whole rapey pirate Joe Wilkinson thing.
See, my criteria for detecting a troll would simply be that they refuse to answer questions so often that it becomes clear that they're merely baiting. I think as long as you're getting answers to questions, I don't think it's fair to label anyone a troll.
So what you're saying is Darwin's deity is a troll?
Did he make your trolls list?
I think you would have to argue that Darwin's deity is a troll. I don't see any alternative.
That his whole shtick is to try to fuck with people. That's trolling, in my opinion. Now, does he believe his own bullshit? Okay, sure. So in that regard, maybe he's not a troll. But
if you ask him about it specifically, like if you ask him what does his rhetoric achieve, like does this bring people to Christ? Does it demonstrate to reasonable people that atheists can't reason? He'll say no. He's just doing it, and he's doing it to get a rise out of people.
Yeah, that's trolling.
So he is a troll.
Hey, someone in side chat just asked why is the butterfly effect called the butterfly effect. So I thought I'd just give a brief reason. Basically, a chap called Lorenz came up with some beautiful equations, and someone solved them using computers. I'm not sure if it was Lorenz who solved them. Anyway, so he submitted this paper, and he hadn't decided what to call it. So the organizer called it the butterfly effect, and there were two reasons. One of them was that some of the patterns which were arising from these Lorenz equations looked like they had two wings. They looked like
okay, so I was right with that.
Yeah, but there was another reason too.
I was like second guessing myself. I thought that had something to do with it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, there was a secondary reason why the guy chose to name the paper that way too, though. Because part of the idea of Lorenz's chaos observations was that a small effect somewhere could produce a large effect somewhere else, and it's a little bit unreasonable to think of it that way, because the reason that a butterfly flapping its wings in the Amazon causes a hurricane in Los Angeles is the instability of the system. It's not really fair to blame the poor little butterfly.
Well,
but anyway,
they'd really determine that it really doesn't, because there's like if I remember correctly, the sphere of influence or something like that. The sphere of influence of a butterfly is so small that no matter what it does, it's not going to have an effect on the outside of the system.
But you got to think of it this way also. Fuck butterflies. I mean, am I right?
Butterflies.
No, they poop on their wings, Steve. Never eat a butterfly.
I have never eaten a butterfly, but thank you for telling me that. Yeah. Why would you eat a butterfly to begin with?
Why wouldn't you if you want to know what it tasted like?
Well, no, that's the strategy, you see.
Because it tastes probably just like a spider would.
Yeah, that's how I found out people taste like chicken.
Now, the reason birds don't chase
If you're going to eat anything, eat a tarantula. At least you actually have some meat on that.
Sorry, Gleamer's is getting shut down. Sorry, Gleamer, go ahead.
No, that's all right. I was just going to mention that the reason that birds go to so much trouble to chase down and eat insects and don't chase down and eat these slow, fluttery butterflies is that butterflies excrete all over their wings. They deliberately make themselves taste like poop.
Good to know.
Well,
like I said, I've never tasted butterfly.
Then wait, why do butterflies have to use camouflaging in their wings to look like other things to scare things away from themselves?
Yeah, and they like each other. I guess
some things like the taste of poop, Doctor. God, like, are you not paying attention?
Because Hannah will eat them.
All right, so yes, there are some birds
There
out
you
there that
go.
have like a scat fetish and like to eat butterflies.
Exactly. See, like Pseudo, he knows that life.
I don't judge.
I think we should.
I don't think that your standard bird that would be eating a butterfly is going to be thinking about whether or not that in the past has tasted like shit. They're just going to see something small move and go in for the kill.
I think birds are a little bit better than that.
How did we go for Lorenz and strange attractors to butterflies and poop?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think birds are smarter than that. You see the butterfly flapping around.
Because somebody in
they
the live chat
realize that thing is moving like a drunken retard and they're not touching it.
Drunken retard. Okay.
No, but you can get DD in here. I am down for. I've been trying to get into your, him into your hangout forever, Anna. I mean, it's like Darwin's. I'm happy to have conversations with you anywhere.
DD won't come in here.
I know he won't.
To be fair, he said that he was going to be out with his family until 7 Central Time. It's now what 9, so he's only an hour behind, right? So
that and Floyd.
Oh, he did give you feedback?
No, I went to his hangout earlier today.
Oh, okay.
Wait, it takes him that long to walk the dog?
Family event.
Which is walking the dog.
Yeah, well, dog is family.
No, I know. He took the dog to the dog park.
With that poor dog.
What's wrong with taking the dog to the dog park?
Well, because now it meets other dogs, and it just takes longer for the dog to go socialize.
Oh,
I don't want to interrupt it during its very important dog conversation.
Yeah.
If I can I get Jade in for a sec? Jade, my darling Jade, are you still with us?
Yes.
Did you corrupt yourself by the links that I gave you the other day?
No, I didn't. Not yet.
Okay, so your soul's not tainted yet.
Not yet.
I haven't yet. I haven't yet indulged in that, which I plan to this like this weekend. I'm gonna be turning off all my computers and just have a Orange is the New Black masturbation fest. So
that's always something.
It's the way I look at it is I subscribe to Netflix. I've subscribed to Netflix for years.
You're fine.
I'm going to continue to subscribe to Netflix, so it's not like I'm cheating,
Yeah, you're guilt free. You're sinless on that. That's cool. I have I will have to repent at a certain point, but whatever. I love the show.
Yeah, Jade, did you check your Skype in the last day?
No, not. I think it works now. I should do that. Come to think of it.
The only thing I could find in the last day since we last talked about corn in Egyptian tombs all leads back to 2 sources. And those 2 sources are either going to be self-published books on Lulu, and the author also leads back to the other source, which is Coast to Coast AM.
Well, Coast to Coast can never be wrong.
Everything else is just a video of Ben Carson talking.
Yeah, why you got this on our bell?
Everything either quotes these 2 sources or is those 2 sources. So I can't find anything on it.
Well, I had a link that was a good one, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It wasn't talking directly about the. It was talking incidentally about that because it was a. It's a book I have here, but it has references in it. I'll have to check again. But it's a book on the history of food and vegetables, where they come
Yeah.
from.
I'm sorry, and there was one source I did find that actually did show that corn was found. However, that was later debunked as well. Someone was fucking with the people who found the corn.
Okay. Well, I'll double check because, you know, the I'll have to find the book.
Yeah.
But it did have references. Although.
Yeah.
Who's
Can't corn
Tony
mean different things too, by the way?
Viciencio?
Tony's cool.
Tony's good, yeah.
Skype.
Yeah, Tony's
All right,
good.
feel free to add him.
Tony just can't. He for some reason he's on a mobile and he has to be sent the actual internal link directly. I can't. If I send him the URL, it doesn't work for him because that sometimes mobiles don't work. So you are the only person that can send him the link. Or you can send me the internal link and then I'll send to him.
Oops, that's not right.
Group chat there.
On playing a video game, but much more important than whatever you guys are talking about.
Did something stupid. Okay. That's weird.
Okay, so that's it here, right? So if you want to copy that and send it to him, that'd be great.
There we go. That's the one.
You
nope.
mother-
Wait, that's not the one. Wait, no, no. It shouldn't say authorized user.
It doesn't say authorized user. What are you talking about?
Authorized user equals 0. I don't know.
Just send to him, see what it says.
All right.
Hey Jade, I wanted to ask you a question about the way evolution works. Are you happy to answer it?
Yeah, sure. If I can. I mean.
Okay, cool.
I know stuff, but don't mistake me for an expert.
No problem. So I was thinking recently that
Thanks, Lloyd.
the cool thing about evolution is that it provides a way for species to improve their survivability when situations change. And then I started thinking about the fact that under stable conditions, population genetics tend to move towards fixity, particularly in social species, which, so far as I could see, undermines my previous claim that the cool thing about evolution is that it makes a species of animals more likely to survive when things change. Is my assessment of those two things being essentially at odds accurate?
I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. I'd have to double check to see what the current thinking is on it. But evolution sometimes works in mysterious ways, as I put it. For example, there's a dolphin species called the Clymene dolphin, Clymene, and it's a separate species, and dolphins are social species, Found out that it's a hybrid of the spinner dolphin and another one that I always forget. Come to find out, this species came about by hybridization, which is not an unusual way for a species to come about. And this is one of the reasons that I always get so annoyed when you have the creationists repeatedly say it has to be chance mutation. Everything to them has to be chance mutation when there are a lot of different, So, as far as I can tell, because given that they're all in the same ocean, this was just sort of an accident, Somehow or another, these two species crossed and a group separated off and became a completely different separate species. I have the paper on it somewhere if you're interested. But yeah, I think what we're looking at is we're looking at a basic balance that exists everywhere. It exists in life. It exists in physics. You want the greatest freedom. You want the greatest need to fulfill all niches you want, but you also want stability. We have this, we want freedom. That's not the right word I'm thinking of it. And we want stability. So it's like in chemistry, you want the lowest degree of enthalpy and yet the highest degree of entropy. And these things balance themselves out. So I think the same thing works in everything else.
So your answer raises a possible misunderstanding then. I thought that the larger a species got, essentially. The bigger the animals got, the more of their evolution was alleles competing, and the less. But in smaller things like bacteria, it was more about chance mutations. Am I correctly assessing that?
Bacteria are really different because they can exchange genetic material between them, and that's why it's the whole thing of speciation is really different in bacteria. And you'd have to go to a bacteriologist because, boy, I don't really understand it. But in eukaryotes, especially, the higher you go, I think the less you're going to have some really life-changing, so to speak, mutations. But in some cases, we have things like Hox genes. We have things that cause like a fractal repetitiveness. Like an example, I was ferns. If you've ever seen like a sword fern, you've got the one dolphin, and on the one leaf there are little side leaves, other leaves that each little side leaf, and then you have another kind that each little side leaf, the side leaf has side leaves. And what this is this is just the genes have caused this fractal repetition on the leaves in plants. Not sure about animals, but that's how you get some of these patterns that cause a completely different speciation. And of course, then plants are different than animals in some ways. So yeah, I don't know.
Jade, can I answer?
I think it would take again, moving into a different environment and a radically different environment and trying to adapt to it. If you could, go ahead, Ale.
I was going to say I'm reading this book called The Sixth Extinction, and they mentioned, for example, the Canadian boreal forest is huge. It's one of the largest forests in the world. They only have 20 species of tree, and the further south you move, when you go to the Amazon, you have thousands of species of trees. And so I guess the hypothesis is that the more crowded it is, especially in the tropics, well, they think that heat may increase mutations, but they were saying in the tropics, if you specialize, so if you speciate, you're more likely to survive, because if you specialize in a niche, if you make a niche for yourself, you're more likely to survive if you don't speciate.
Yeah, is that similar to like natural selection when you have different types of natural selection, obviously, and he's talking about stabilizing selection, right? So if you have the more you have in a population of a particular species, and let's say you have some kind of vast differentiation in the phenotype, stabilizing selection will try to, as you have more frequency of those individuals, come to a specific phenotype, right? We're eliminating all the other ones. Right, and then in other cases it might be more what's called a disruptive selection, where you have a difference between the phenotypes, and that's being selected for. Is that kind of what you were asking for earlier there, Lemur?
Yeah, I think
stabilizing because it's plastic to the environment on that, right?
Yeah. So what EO said, I think, got to the heart of my question. So what he said was, I think, you're more likely to survive in a niche if you don't speciate, and that's the tendency to stability that I was asking about. But then if that niche changes, all of your hard work to fit that niche is now working against you.
Because if you can't adapt, you're going to go extinct.
That explains the carnivorous plants, right?
But you can speciate without a divergent process. I mean, some species can actually speciate and not form two species.
Well, look at these little salamanders we have here in California. Yeah. What is interesting, just to throw this in there, is California is really unique, and there's actually a book called This Island, California, and it's about the natural history of California. We used it as a textbook years ago. The California Floristic Province, which actually includes California, parts of Oregon, and Washington, and maybe up to British Columbia. I'm not exactly sure. There are more species of plants here, species and subspecies of plants here in California. Native species and subspecies of plants, yeah, than there are in the rest of the United States combined. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's amazing there.
Okay. It has to do with a couple of things. One is our wide variety of ecosystems. And in some of these cases, these things, we do have species. Yeah, the salamanders. I never pronounce the name of the salamanders.
Instantina salamander.
Ensatina salamander. I always want to mispronounce it, so that's why I asked Steve. Which is a ring species here in California. So what you've seen is speciation up and down the coast. We also have the California blue-eyed grass, which actually isn't a grass, which has throughout the state. We even have a couple, there's 2 or 3 unique forms of black walnut. Yeah. One is known commercially as the Claro black walnut that has a beautiful pattern. So we have all these ecological niches. We also have some very interesting soils here that are unique. For instance, we have serpentine soils and limestone soils, both of which are not really conducive to plant life, and yet we have plants that have adapted to this soil. I have a cool little book. I don't know if I can find it right now. It's about one of my favorite little books. It's not where I thought it was. So, that talks about California soils, and there are some pictures in it that are really interesting because you see this sort of wobbly line. It's not like a literal line, but on one side is one whole group of plants, and on the other side is the other whole group, a different whole group of plants. The reason is, for example, one side might be serpentine soils, limestone soils. The differences between the soils by the plants. There's even a photo where there's a limestone soil goes up against a serpentine soil that goes up against the normal kind of soil. I'm not sure what the absolute substrate is, but it's not, limestone or serpentine. So we have this incredible diversity. One of the really interesting things about this is that much of this diversity has not been exploited, which in a way is good because you don't have people, running off into the, some of our trees and plants and things like that. One particular, which is the lupin, the California lupin, which is a flower, but it forms bean pods, right? Well, the bean pods vary quite a bit. They have something in it that can kind of upset people's stomachs sometimes. Yet this is have a really high protein. Well, here in the United States, we completely ignored them. Somebody in Germany got smart and bred these. And you can now buy this lupin flower in like Germany and Australia. I was looking at it once and I was finding all these places in Australia where you could buy it, and in Germany. Can't buy it here. California plant. Can't buy it here because people didn't bother to exploit it. So a lot of our plants, and as I said, that's a good news, bad news. As far as exploiting, we don't go out in the woods and start gathering your very fragile environments. But to do like what the Germans did and take the lupin and start breeding it, and, this new flower that has a whole bunch of, dietary advantages is really cool. We also have a plant here. Closest relative is like in the deep south. Nobody quite knows how. There's nothing in between. No relatives in between. And it's a unique kind of plant. Nobody knows how that happened. But the reason it's called this island, California, is on our eastern side, we've got all these mountains, right? With the exception of Southern California, you have sort of the ocean, the little bit of land, a cliff, some more land, mountains, valley, mountains, valley. Sierra Nevadas, valley, mountains. Oh, in their valley, there's all desert, and then more mountains, and then you've got, Nevada and Arizona and what have you. Terrain, and because of the desert that's in between there, there wasn't a lot of plants crossing those barriers between the mountains and the desert to come to California, so the California flora kind of evolved on its own. It's also why at the borders of California we have what we've always jokingly referred to as California customs. If you drive into California, you're likely to be stopped and have someone ask you if you have any fruits or vegetables on you. Very strict.
It's useless, and it's a waste of taxpayers' money, and I'm very much against it, and I think they need to shut that shit down because it's completely useless anymore. Do you agree, Jade? Please tell me you agree on this.
Not completely.
It's
I don't think we need to stop cars, individual cars anymore. But the thing is, we do checks at the airports too. See,
commercial vehicles maybe, but I mean, like trucks. But I mean, all you do is you go up there. Do you have any oranges? No.
Yeah.
Do you have any plants? No. Okay, go ahead. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Historically, maybe it doesn't have any use anymore, but historically it has kept a lot of bugs and things.
I agree, maybe at one point, but I think it's lost its effectiveness now.
I don't know. I would like to see a study to see if it's useful or not. Yeah, you're right, it may be useless. I don't know. Or maybe we just want to check commercial vehicles to make sure they're not,
or they, I don't know, maybe do it every so often, but I mean, they have people man there all the time, and it just I don't think
they're there all the time anymore.
Well, the one from Nevada is that one's still, and there's one from Mexico.
Yeah,
but I think they're looking for illegal immigrants.
Well, no, there are actually some rather nasty bugs in Mexico.
Yeah,
that we don't want to get in here, and that's.
But you know the one I'm talking about from Vegas. We've all gone through a million times.
Yes. That one's probably useless. You're right, but we've joked about it ever since I was a little kid. You got to go through California customs to get to California, but it did exist for a very good reason. But you're right, it may be obsolete. I don't.
Do they got one in Washington? Do you have any Canadians with you that you don't have documented? I don't know. Do they do that?
What from?
Yeah, from Washington. Do you have any illegal Canadians trying to get across the border? Doc, have you ever tried that?
No, Steve. It's the other way. You guys are always trying to get into Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are.
Have I ever illegally crossed into the United States?
Yeah.
Yes, but it was entirely by accident, and I had nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay, sure.
I used to go to California.
We had a shit navigator on a YAG, and he couldn't get his bearings, so we ended up wandering all the way down into the United States.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, Steve, there's miles
and nobody
upon
cares.
miles
You see that
of Canadian
crossing
border.
the border illegally, and nobody gives a shit.
Steve,
There's just no one there.
Steve, I live near Vancouver, and there's literally a street, and one side of the street's Canada, one side of the street's United States. It really is the longest undefended border in the world.
Yeah.
I've been to Vancouver. I know.
Yeah.
Steve,
you've actually had U.S. military doing like maneuvers, and the guys actually got lost and wandered across the border into Canada.
No, there's actually a case where they did.
We basically just slap them on the wrist, yell at them a little bit.
Yeah.
We want to make sure the Canadians don't burn down another one of our White Houses.
Yeah.
Because technically you've invaded by.
We have not forgotten, people. Fuck you.
But this.
We don't burn things down anymore. We just take your forts without firing a single shot.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same for French too, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, they're so
No, that was
polite.
Detroit.
They're so polite.
That's Detroit.
They're so polite that they just confuse Americans. Hi, we're going to come take your country now. Do you have permission? Okay.
We're going to go to Canada to get poutine.
Yeah.
No, it's
poutine,
not poutine. Poutine.
Poutine is something entirely different than poutine.
Well, I don't have the accent. Sorry, poutine.
Yeah, let me get some poontang.
It sounds like the Russian president, Putin. Poutine.
I was going to say.
Poutine is literally a term that we use for a French Canadian girl's box.
Yeah, you don't go into a restaurant and order poutine because you're probably going to get slapped.
Yeah. I was going to say that, but I've been told to acquire poutine.
I have about a 50 chance that.
I was going to say that Steve has poontang on the brain. That's the problem.
Damn right, baby.
However, don't tell Drag he wants to come to Canada, and we'll trick him into ordering it that way.
So instead of getting like
if Dragnot sat down in like a French Canadian restaurant, ordered poutine, he'd probably just be slipped a phone number.
Get weird looks.
If you're black in Canada and you start hitting on somebody, it's like playing tennis with down.
It's poutine, right?
Yes, poutine.
Yes, there's no
A
N.
poutine.
Yes.
It's an O, not an N.
It's a silent N.
But did you guys know the etymology?
There's no first end. It's just Poutine.
Poutine.
But hang on. Steve, do you know Spanish? Does anyone on the panel know Spanish?
Un poquito, okay.
Okay, so there's a Spanish word puta. The exact French Canadian word is putain, from which putain. Right, but which putain came from. So that's just they sound like, so in French it's putain, and Spanish is, I think, how do you say puta?
Puta.
So it's the exact same word. In French it's
if I say like si madre es un pelo y pesta mucho punto, I basically said your mom's a stinking whore bitch.
Right. And
in Florida we got Punta Gorda.
Your mother's a whore, bitch.
Right. So anyway, putain came from the French Canadian putain. Just so you guys know.
There you go.
I think most Californians know what puta means.
Yeah.
It's punta. You got to say with the accent. Punta. You punta. Cabron. Pinche cabron.
You got to put the tilde on it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Besame culo. You know what that means?
Something about the butthole.
Kiss my ass.
On the subject of Canadian and American borders, wasn't there a problem recently when an American ship traveled through that channel that opens more and more often in the sea north of Canada now that the ice is all melting?
Technically, Schrodinger, it's submarines, and we have boats that basically just sit on top of the submarine and follow it.
Yeah, it just.
And then, of course, the U.S. denied. We say you were there. The U.S. denies it. We say you were there.
Boats.
Yeah.
They surface their ships. Okay.
Right.
Unless you're in the Coast Guard, then you call everything a boat because they don't know the fucking difference.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons we're doing that is because we're trying to make sure Russia doesn't do it. It's a quiet little.
We're
thing
doing
going
it
on.
first.
No, they're doing it too.
Hipster America.
There's that, and
we were invading Canada, the Arctic first.
Yeah.
No, Jay, we know the Russians
and the
do it
Americans
too.
kind of
Don't
have
worry.
a claim over the North Pole, apparently.
Yeah.
And
No, nobody does.
This is just post Cold War bullshit. You know, it's nothing really special.
Well, wait a second. Wasn't there a big argument about whether that's going to be an international shipping lane or whether it's going to remain?
No, because it goes right through Canada, through our islands up there. Sorry.
You really can't argue that.
Yeah.
You have to cross through Canada.
Yeah.
All right, anyways, I got to go, guys. I'm going to make some dinner and watch TV, so I'll drop the deck.
Okay, get the fuck out then.
Now, if you ask politely there, then we might let you through. But
New
generally,
episode
you're
of
not asking
Supernatural
politely.
aired last Thursday.
Say goodbye to Steve. Thank you, Hannah. It's good to hang out. It's good to hang out. Peace out. Come on, Vecco.
Peace.
They don't want you in here.
Goodbye, Steve.
Later, Steve.
I don't fucking need him.
Oh, he's
Good
finally
riddance.
gone.
I don't know if he's out there or not. How are you, Hannah?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm managing.
Yeah.
How's that wolf mask going?
How's everybody doing tonight?
Nobody fucking
doing
asked
good.
you, Wolf. No, I'm kidding. It's fine.
I was wondering if Hannah was still a bit pissed off at me for my joke.
Dude,
last
red
time.
line is like red line is rubbing off on you, Hannah. I could see it.
No, I'm pissed off for other reasons. Nothing has to do with it. Yeah, work is being a little bit of a butthole. So I'm like, if you're gonna be a butthole, I might as well just work from home. And they're like, fine, I dare you to. I'm like, yeah, fucking watch me. Working from home.
How is that
you handle your business, girl.
with someone?
Because I don't have to deal
you
with,
can
I
work
don't have
from
to deal with
home.
clients.
Okay.
They want me to deal with clients because they don't want to deal with clients because apparently I have the gift of gab. So they're like, oh no, we're gonna have to talk to them. It's like, ah, too fucking bad. Not my business. You guys have fun. So I left them my notes and let's see how well they manage without me. I don't really give a shit because working from home.
Whoa, you left them notes.
Yes, notes. It's really bad. I'm like such a gossip girl. I left notes on like certain clients' personalities, and I'm like, this person has a tendency to respond positively to X, Y, and Z. They respond negatively to A, B, and C. So don't mention A, B, and C. That's really weird. Like
This
anybody
other client,
outside of our...
Wait, so you're gossipy and you have a caffeine addiction. Could you be any more Slavic?
Okay, in fairness, this is my third week I've gone without coffee.
Really?
Well, that hurts. That hurts.
Third week. I don't get coffee headaches.
No
I don't.
wonder you're on edge.
Okay.
Yeah, I am bitchy
Coffee
though.
headaches.
I am bitchy. Yeah. I keep sleeping though. Thank God I'm working from home. I'm taking naps like 9 hours today. It was ridiculous.
And you don't have to put on pants.
I don't. The weird thing is that pants is not a thing for me. It's the shirt. I'm shirtless and I love it. Ugh.
Yeah, just like having the tits out, huh?
Oh no, the girls are still in. I just don't like a shirt. Just don't like wearing shirts indoors. Listen, they're gonna get in the way of a lot of daily activities. I keep those shits in check.
Small tits are still tits.
They still get in the way.
Depends how big your nipples are.
Jesus.
My bad.
Steve leaves and look at the direction we go.
I know,
Well,
right?
Hey, I like tits, okay?
Oh, I don't know Brenda, by the way, so I used to remember, now I don't. I don't do that shit anymore. I don't remember how to do it. So I want to teach Brenda how to do it.
Okay, Brenda, it's the slash and then 2 and then the first.
Oh,
Like
okay.
they have multiple
I was just
names. It's their name spelled correctly, first name.
Okay. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Hey, anyone saw my
last time because Cito privately messaged me and I hit reply.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
they
I
can
see
hit
that.
reply back, and you sit here and play reply wars with each other.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
Anyone see my talk with Darth Dawkins on his channel?
If you
Wait,
can
what?
call it a talk, it lasted like what, 5 minutes?
I don't know.
Well, the first thing that I remember him chiming up with was because Josh and Jack had both joined the room. He's like, "Are you going? Do you want me to be in this room? Are you going to have them in here with me in here, or are you going to kick them?"
Oh my god. Yeah, the answer was no. Fuck that.
Yeah. Then he and Antonio left immediately afterwards.
Yeah, ran like bitches.
They're like a couple, huh?
They're
Yeah,
like,
It's more like
here's the
Human
thing.
Centipede, where Antonio is permanently affixed to sucking on Darwin's Duty's asshole.
oh,
Yeah,
that's quite illustrative.
Yeah.
I have a picture in my head now. Yep. I want it out.
Just imagine
That
South Park.
Photoshop is coming, by the way.
Oh, I just watched that Pew review. Sorry, that one where he did about Keen, Michael Jackson Keen video. Oh, that was great. Oh, if you haven't seen it, watch it.
Yeah, but Antonio is the new MK to DD. Like,
I mean,
he's just 2.0.
He is, because he holds hangouts, at the drop of a hat, which is actually nice. I just wish they were a little bit more,
Substantive.
open. Yeah, I've done that. That's also. I'm trying to rein it in a bit, but okay, we can start pushing it. Substantive, yes.
Block
Well,
happy.
it is a kind of odd thing where Antonio says, I want people to join my hangouts, people who disagree, so that we can have a discussion, but half the people are banned from his live chat, and the people who are commenting in the live chat are asking for the link, and he's not giving it out.
Yep.
He don't know shit. He's a 31-year-old version.
Well, no,
of
you have to have his Skype address and message him on Skype, right? He doesn't like G+.
I'm sex shaming.
Don't fucking sex shame him. Come on.
No,
I'm
don't.
sex shaming him.
Why?
Cut your shit. Come on. Listen, if it wasn't for your fucking cousin, I bet you have the same situation going on. So let's not fucking, take shots at somebody doing it because they want to. Okay.
No balls deep. Okay, it was not that situation.
Not that situation.
Okay, I did not insert. I was just drunk and I didn't remember anything else other than a kiss.
Why the switch to a new avatar?
What mine?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've honestly been experimenting with the wolf desecrating the cross image.
It's not Satan.
You don't want to scare Matt Slick though.
It doesn't have enough Satan in it.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Wolf's old
the
avatar had St. Peter's cross, like in the middle of it. It was a wolf with St. Peter's cross in the middle of his forehead. And Matt Slick immediately goes, "Oh my God, it's a satanic symbol," when actually it's a Christian symbol of humility is what it is.
He would bitch about it.
It doesn't matter. It's satanic because Matt Slick saw The Exorcist at some point between now and the 1960s.
I mean, ever since they just get on me for the whole blasphemous aspect to it, and it's like, dude, I don't give a fuck about blasphemy. This is America. This is the internet.
So on about
It's
a
America.
Satanist committing blasphemy to Christianity. That doesn't make any sense.
Brenda, your avatar is ominous. What's the story?
It's ominous.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know?
That's like
That's a freaking famous animation.
Spirited Away.
Spirited Away.
Miyazaki.
That
yeah,
being
come
said,
on.
it's still a
Spirited
freaking
Away.
creepy picture.
You know that scene actually won. I think that scene was voted the most realistic depiction of a train ride. Of the trains ever in animation.
What is that? I'm gonna watch it. What is it?
Spirited Away.
It's amazing.
Spirited Away. Okay.
I love that movie.
Any of Hayazaki, any of Hayazaki's animes are great.
I didn't like the Valley of the Wind.
Well, really, anything
the
by
Valley
that studio is good.
I heard he's getting back into work. I heard he's getting back into the work. The director that did that Spirited Away movie.
You know, he retired and he never left his job. He actually never left. He still shows up and works every day, even though he's retired. And now they say he's going to come out of retirement because he still is working there.
Well, in this scene, the heroine of the story is traveling on a train. She's on a train with no face to go and see the sister of the witch. Yeah, the sister of the witch of the bathhouse that she's been employed at. No face is somebody without a face, and he was
He's a yokai.
He's a ghost.
He's a ghost. He's a nobody.
I have a
So
question,
cute.
Brenda.
He's scary as hell, though.
When they paid for the train tickets, did No Face pay for theirs, and then the
She
ticket person
paid.
take the money?
She
Okay,
paid.
she paid. All right, good.
Yeah.
The
So
first thing I
you've
saw
seen
when I
part
saw
of
that.
Spirited Away, evidently, Pseudo.
What's that?
You've seen part of Spirited Away.
No, I
obviously.
just know that you don't take coins from No Face.
That's what I was going to bring up. Was somebody who did a TED Talk went to a Comic-Con dressed up as No Face.
Adam Savage.
Yes, and he was handing out gold, like chocolate coins to people.
And there were some people who gave them back and folded the hand over and said no.
Or
thank
there were others who threw them away, and the reason is
Yeah.
you do not take gold from No Face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that motherfucker will come back for it.
God,
It
I
doesn't
gotta
come
watch it
back
now.
for it. It's just you get cursed if you take gold from No Face.
That's why I asked did No Face pay for the tickets or not.
Well, it's not like you can. All the gold he gives away is actually just dirt disguised. So he doesn't actually own any gold. It's always fake. That's why it's usually not your curse necessarily. It's just misfortune follows because eventually someone's gonna realize you got
It's
dirt
not real
poor.
gold. Yeah.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
dirt poor.
you will get fucked.
You will get fucked. Well,
It's almost like there's a moral to it where
Let me tell you something. That little girl did not want to be fucked.
Jesus.
what the
Well,
hell?
I mean, he's going so deep for no reason, bro. Chill. Jesus.
I'm
Focus
sorry.
here, Wolf.
I have
Come
not
on.
seen that version where that occurs, so I don't know what version Wolf King has looked up on Google.
Listen, if you
I
leave the
think Wolf
hangout,
King
you
got
can
the
come
hentai
back.
version here.
Okay, let's just calm the fuck down. I admit I was being hyperbolic. Calm the fuck down. Okay?
Yeah, hyperbolic. Listen, if you have something to take care of, if you can always rejoin the hangout, we'll give you the 2 minutes it takes. Okay,
Okay,
just go
okay.
ahead.
Okay, no more DP. Okay, okay.
Fucking no.
I am loaded, and I often say things that are controversial. Might seem controversial.
It's not even a matter of controversy at that point. It's just a matter of what the fuck.
Yeah, 3 people. That's what they say. What the?
Oh shit!
If you can garner that kind of response.
I just say universal, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah, 3 people all at once.
I will refrain from the follow-up jokes that I had.
Was that too blunt?
Oh, blunt. Speaking of blunt. No. But how did you finish that mask you were working on?
Oh, I got time.
Okay. This is how bad my mental disorder is. So I constantly am thinking, yeah, I'm about to finish it. Honestly, I have very, very, very little detailing left to do. It's just on the nose and I'm pretty much done. And then I go, but what if it's not the right size? Then I go, shit. Then I should stop, measure it, get back, add or subtract as much as I need to, and let it be, life size. And I think, no, it is life size already. I'm pretty sure I did this already. No, but then it's just like a never-ending cycle of, is it? It's not? Is
You
it?
question
Is it
yourself on everything. Yes, my wife is. She's like that. Drives me crazy.
You gotta understand. I need Red. Like, oh god, I was gonna talk to Red about it tonight. Like, I almost destroyed it because I'm like, fuck it. I need to make sure that it's actually scaled to size. So I'll just do it over again. And then I'm thinking, no, that'd be even worse.
Yeah, if my wife's doing anything like that, I have to leave. If I'll walk in the room and I see she's doing something artistic or something where her brain's fully in it, I have to leave. I'm like, I'll walk in and I'll turn around and leave. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, God, it's terrible. And now it's even worse because I keep looking at reference images to the thing that I'm looking at, right? And I keep going, yeah, it's no, yeah, no, it's pretty good. No, it's not. Wait, it's pretty good. No.
You got to make sure each reference is the same one, because you might find a different reference like, "Ooh, this one looks good." Yeah.
I know, that's my #1 problem is that I can't keep looking up different. It has to be the same images, otherwise, like I'll just keep destroying it and redoing it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Sounds like some.
So Hannah, one of the things that we engineers, what makes a good engineer is they have exactly the same brain function that you have. Okay, they're constantly second guessing themselves about whether what they just did was right. The way an engineer gets around it is they write down that they've checked it and it's perfect, and then they can always look back and go, "I checked it, damn it, it's perfect." I don't know if that works on artistic work though.
That's the thing, though. I'd love to be able to do that, but there's no way to check. There's not like I can look up, you know, how many centimeters is, you know, the eyes apart from each other, or how many, you know, centimeters is it from the base of the skull forward to the tip of the nose. You know, it's all guessing, because there's no even real life image that can be used for a reference point, right? So if the guy, let's say a guy has a human hand on next to his face. So you can scale, okay, the average length of, you know, a male's hand is, you know, X amount of centimeters. Okay, then you can just scale the rest of the face according to the reference that you have. But there's absolutely no reference. So I'm just like, shit, there's no way for me to check if this is actually to scale or not. Shit.
I admit that would drive me insane if I couldn't check my work against the real world. That would make me nuts.
I told myself this was going to be done 3 weeks ago, and it's still sitting on top of my desk, staring at me, judging my life decisions.
You say it judges you more.
The reason why engineers do exactly what you said is because if they don't go back and double check things to make sure things are right, it's very embarrassing when the bridge falls down.
Okay.
I have been lucky regarding that. Nothing has failed.
I'll try to show you guys
Now,
what
Hannah,
exactly I'm trying to recreate, and then you'll see why it's.
What you got to understand, Hannah, is you don't actually use measurements; you use proportion.
Right, and I can't figure that out either. Okay, look.
Well, it's simple. You take a distance, like say on the image, you take the distance between the eyes, and then you relate it to something else. In this case, you're making a mask. You relate it to the dimension between your eyes. That now gives you a distance.
But it doesn't.
It's got to be Hannah perfect. It doesn't have to be reference perfect. That's the issue.
A little bit artistic in it too.
That's the thing I'm trying to recreate.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you scale that to size?
Well, to start with, you have to look through the eye holes, right?
I don't have to. I could.
Where are you gonna look out of?
I could always look out through the jaw.
That is an awesome picture. Wow.
I know, it's so cool.
Wow, that is cool. The
Can you take that picture? Now, see, I can't do that. You take that picture and you rotate it, and you can fill in the other side from the left side. You know, Bert Poole might know how to, or send you to someone who could do it. But that's what I do. I rotate the pictures, and then, you know, they fill in
grid it, right? Do they have like automatic grid you can put in? Yeah.
What?
But yeah, you could, you could do that, because you could. You know what? Ask Heavy. He's not here.
Are you making a real mask or what?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see if I can look for a little bit better.
Well, first I think.
Well, this is the concept. This is the concept.
First, you need to find a werewolf.
Fuck.
And then you need to get bit.
Yes, and then look in the mirror.
Oh well, that's
What is that from? Is that from a game or something?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That's pretty cool.
Well, that image there that you have is more front on.
Yeah, but the problem is that this is just a concept. Well, it's not even a concept. It's a splash image, right? So usually,
Yeah, but Hannah, when you do this, so you collect every image you can.
yeah, but
This looks pretty badass.
Okay,
It is.
I know it's pretty badass. That's why I wanted to do it. They're just like, shit, OCD and depression and everything is kicking in, and I want.
Honey,
Like, does anyone here remember the video? Was it called Silent Hill? Was the video game? The guy with the pyramid head.
Pyramid Head is Silent Hill.
Yes. Okay. Okay. There's a YouTube guy out there. His name is Michael Cthulhu. He makes giant ass swords. And somebody asked him to make the sword used by Pyramid Head. He went through that video game and pulled out every image he could. No matter how pixelated or crappy they were, every image to determine the scale. And when he was done, he even agrees that it was a lot scarier when you played the game because this thing isn't very big.
I don't know what to do. I have the compilation of all reference images. Excuse me, I could find. I even did this. Okay, watch. So,
yeah.
Right. Watch this. Okay, so you go 3D models. Super useful, by the way. I don't know what I would do if this website wasn't up. Okay, load model. Come down. There we go. See, that's how he appears in game, right?
Yeah. So
super sexy. Right. How the fuck do you scale that?
All right. To start with, you have to get a straight-on shot. Okay.
Oh, that's easy enough.
Like a front shot and a side shot. So front and profile.
Let's see if I can get him still. Hold on. That's a still isn't probably gonna get him.
Okay. So for this purpose, I would use the eyes because you're probably going to use the eyes for your eyes. Because it sure hell beats looking out of a nose or a mouth because you get tunnel vision.
Yeah, I'm gonna get tunnel vision regardless. I mean, there's got to be pseudo eyes.
By looking out of the eyes, you're not looking through a tube. Okay. So from there, you use your eyes as a dimension, or define a dimension for the eyes, and then from there, you figure out your proportion of how long the ears would be, and from a side shot, how long the nose would be.
Gee.
The ears look about 8 inches.
Oh, I would
maybe,
consider
maybe
that
a foot.
Full ruler. That looks like a full foot away.
Okay,
that's a
how's
foot,
this?
you're right.
Do you know how tall the character is?
No, there is absolutely no real world reference.
How about this character in reference to something else?
Yeah, I wish I had that. No, there is none.
From within the game, is there anything else as a size comparison?
Like a
There's
tree?
there's no active.
No, you can't. No, you can't use things that are organic trees because trees vary in size.
A doorway. A doorway.
Yeah, a door.
A doorway.
In-game,
another human person.
In game, they resize all of the models to be roughly the same so that they could fit in the game lane.
Okay.
That beast can blow down a
How
house.
about from other artwork then?
Gonna take you a while to grow a nice silky coat of fur, though.
Oh, listen, I've got like 6 yards in the garage. I got
Is
this.
there any artwork that would show this character in relation to other objects?
Fuck it. That's pretty much the one where other objects are in it. That's pretty much it.
The thing is, it looks like it could. It looks like it could wage war for 1,000 years. It's pretty fucking awesome.
It's a video game character. That's usually what they do.
That's kind of the the pedigree.
Are you
of
gonna
this
put
guy.
LEDs in the eyes too?
Yes. Also,
like red
so
LEDs.
you see
Oh,
these
awesome.
arm things and the canister on the back.
Oh, that's his
All right.
arm. Okay.
Yeah. So I bought like
I
a
see.
pack of cheap glow sticks, and I have food coloring. So what I was gonna do is actually mix that for the fluid and have the fluid actively be cycling in through vents that I are gonna install about at the base right here.
It's like
And-
steampunk kind of steampunk slash.
Oh, please don't dragging this in a steampunk. Why?
Because it kind of.
Steampunk / underworld.
No, it's
Yeah.
steampunk invades everything. It's all right.
Yeah,
Don't be a bitch about it. It's enjoyable.
Yeah. Stop
All right, let's see
crying.
if there's. Hold on. Let me double check. There's no other. So look in game.
Pseudo, kiss that wolf.
The fuck?
Yeah, if you walk up to a doorway.
No, because
Yeah,
they
you don't-
rescale in the game.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
right.
it's rescale. Yeah, so.
So that's why I'm looking for artwork or something with the character showing next to things, because then it won't be rescaled.
This is the best.
Oh.
Okay, now what the fuck to that?
These are skins.
These are skins.
Yeah, that you can have in the game. So this one I own. This
Little
one I
Red
own.
Riding Hood type.
Yeah, this is fucking hysterical. There is a Little Red Riding Hood in the game, so you can go on. Both of you have this.
Technically that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, this one's cool. They gave him an actual, like, really busted out mechanical hand. Yeah. So cool.
Was that armor?
Yeah, and then from an insane asylum, like another cool one. This one's just stupid. They made him look like a manatee.
Yeah,
it looks like Brett Keane.
Greek god manatee. And this shit. Tundra Hunter.
Wolf.
I don't have Tundra Hunter. It looks like shit.
No wolf.
I like the color of the original one that you showed.
Oh yeah, I know. I think the original is the best. But this is other concept art over here. I'm trying to figure out. See this? I know he's such a cool character. It's fucking difficult. Especially.
Are you gonna go to like Comic-Con or something with that?
No, I'm not.
You blow them away when you walk into that.
I don't usually dress up as anything. I just like keep them and then destroy them for later and use the parts for something else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm terrible. You have no idea. There's a broken up mannequin in my garage, and people are like scared the shit to go in my garage because I occasionally just keep redrawing a face on him.
Just changing. Was that like that yesterday?
No, until you fuck with your neighbors, you throw it in a duffel bag, keep dragging it out of the garage and throwing it in the trunk of the car.
Yeah, there's nothing that really. Been the hardest part is to find something to scale him with.
Yeah.
Listen, if you have any luck, let me know. I'm legit. I don't want to continue doing this until I find something.
Yeah.
It's gonna be heavy too, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but nothing that I'm not used to. I usually carry around like an 85-pound vest anyway, so.
Well.
As long as it doesn't exceed 85 pounds, I think I'll be okay, at least for a little while.
Let's see what happens. Add that 2 words to a Google search.
So sexy.
No, I added the words "how tall."
Oh, okay. Well,
somewhere else there's gonna be a fan forum full of this shit, and they're all arguing about it, and they'll eventually agree on it.
So you're relying on other nerds to fulfill my requirements. Quite resourceful of you. Jeez.
For years, there's been a photo on the internet of TV props that have been laying in a junkyard. They're supposed to be cockpits of spaceships. Nobody could identify them. So they put it on a web forum. Can anybody figure out what the hell these are? And sure enough, they're from space above and beyond.
Yeah, there's a nerd out there for everything. I'll tell you what.
For instance, Mad Max Fury Road. Immortan Joe has a little piece of circuit board on his armor. It's actually from a Nokia phone, and they know exactly which phone it comes from.
I remember those, the green ones where you played Snake.
Yeah. So yeah, there are people out there who can identify that shit, and they will identify it for you.
Hey, listen, how much do I have to give them? Like, do I have to promise them like internet brownie points? Like what?
No, they'll just do it for free. It's the fact they just know.
Yeah, they like knowing, being the only one to know.
Yeah, it'll come down to its friends of friends of friends of someone who did concept art for the video game, you know, and there was a rendering done of all the characters to scale.
All right, I'm gonna take this hangout off air so that we don't bore the rest of the people with this. But thank you guys for watching. This has been one interesting TST After Hangout.